So yeah, my name is Richard Downey, and I am Head of Mobile and Global Business Development at Specialist Works. Up until about 6 months ago, part of the business I run was called the Mobile House, and my team still run mobile media acquisition campaigns. We do ASO, we do all of the stuff that you've been hearing about from the great range of speakers all day. But next 15 minutes or so, I kind of wanted to talk about something a little bit different, and wanted to walk you all through a case study of a campaign that my agency is currently running for a game called Clash of Kings. So I'm going to do that thing that's always really risky, but I'm going to do it anyway. Can you raise your hands if you have heard of the game Clash of Kings? Okay, good start. And can you raise your hands if you remember seeing the TV ad for Clash of Kings? Okay, so that's some of you are going to be really annoyed by the music when I play it shortly, and some of you are going to quite enjoy it. So before I go on to talk about it, I am obviously going to do the introduction to the agency bit. So the Specialist Works is a multi-channel independent advertising agency. Our business is split between what you would call very traditional advertising channels, such as press and inserts, through to digital and mobile, and the fastest growing part of our business, which is TV. Now, the reason that the TV is the fastest growing part of the business is that I believe we have a truly innovative and unique and, let's say, app-friendly way of doing it, which I'll describe in a bit more detail in a few moments. In terms of the business, we're growing at quite an alarming rate, actually. We have offices now in 6 countries around the world, and firm partnerships with agencies that give us the global reach that you see there in the pink bits. Our offices our headquarters is just up the road at Angel, and we have offices in Ireland, Germany, Sweden, and we bought 2 agencies in the US over the last couple of months. So, a lot going on. So, Clash of Kings. So, the Clash of Kings is published by a company called LX, which is one of the biggest mobile game publishers in China. Clash of Kings as a game was already sitting on some ridiculously large number of downloads, 100 million or something like that, when we first came into contact with them. And their brief was a very clear one, actually. They wanted to expand the game into Western territories, and they particularly were interested in all of the lovely iOS users that can be found over here. The game's success has been built on Android users, mainly from China, and the internationalization of their player base was an incredibly important thing for them. One of the main challenges that people have is that they start playing the game, they enjoy the game, they build up a little bit of a encampment and a little bit of an army, and then overnight Chinese players come and they destroy everything. So what we're trying to do is build up a European player base so that the UK players, the German players can feel as if it's not too heavily an Asian game. In terms of mobile acquisition, they spend, I don't know what they spend actually, an eye-watering amount of money on app acquisition advertising. That's all done in-house from Beijing. That was never part of our brief. And what's really interesting here is our approach to TV really comes into its own when we're dealing with companies for whom all of the challenges that we've been hearing about today are in place. Increased CPI, more and more competitive in terms of mobile media buys, almost saturation points in terms of that acquisition. The other TV ads that you may be familiar with, the games, Clash of Clans, Mobile Strike, Game of War, etc., they're all at that point. They're all at the point whereby the mobile acquisition channels are becoming more and more difficult to sustain, and in order to continue to bring new players to the game, they have to think of new and non-mobile ways of doing it. So our brief was to use offline media to do 3 things. Number 1, make the game famous in the UK and beyond. Number 2, of course, drive high quality organic installs. And number 3, and crucially, actually prove the effect of the activity that we did. So, more of the challenges. As the client, as I said, is based in Beijing, it was vital that we gained the client's full trust on this, effectively becoming the outsourced European marketing division, I suppose. So to do this, a series of pre-campaign meetings took place, either over there or over here, and there was quite a lot of back and forward before the full scope of the work was established. As I say, it's about an extension and about gaining that trust so that they were happy for us to make these big decisions on their behalf. And some of those big decisions on their behalf are actually bringing other agencies and other partners into the brief. We are media buyers, really, that's kind of what we do. We don't really make TV ads, we don't really do funky things like hold big events on Tower Bridge. But we felt as we went along that those are things that the client would benefit from, the campaign would benefit from, therefore it was up to us to go and find those partners that could help us with that. So PR, creative and experiential, they're the three areas that we look to bring in outside help. So once the brief was set, as I've just talked about, my company and my business got busy on the planning process. So at the Specialist Works, we have a team called Pathways. They are our central strategic planning team. They are channel neutral. They're not pushing for mobile over TV or print over outdoor or whatever. They look at clients' briefs, whatever they may be, and they use research, data and experience to be able to put together the perfect blend of marketing strategies. And from there, the media planning process began. So it was clear, because, as I said earlier about the saturation of mobile acquisition, that in terms of generating the numbers that they wanted to generate, TV was going to be the place to start. And in terms of being able to acquire the numbers in the volume that they had ambitions for, it was going to be quite a big TV campaign. Also chosen to be part of this was cinema, outdoor, some targeted mobile display, normally around specific fan sites, Game of Thrones being a key one, and experiential. And all of these were to work as complementary channels, okay? So where things could be tracked, they were tracked. Where they couldn't be tracked, we were looking for the effect of the stuff that couldn't be tracked on the stuff that could be tracked. So that leads me quite neatly into the kind of service and the product and the offering that we have, which I believe is so unique and has worked so well in this circumstance. We have a product called TV for Apps. A couple of nice little quotes here, one from Paul, who's outside, from AppsFlyer. We at the Specialist Works are trying our very best to push and to kind of close the gap between what's been traditionally a very inflexible and untrackable offline media such as TV, and present it and work it in a way that digital and mobile professionals feel comfortable with. We work very closely with AppsFlyer and the other attribution partners to do this, and every step that we kind of, every time we solve another one of the problems about attribution of offline media to mobile acquisition, we get a little bit closer to talking to these mobile app companies that may be considering TV, maybe thinking that they're at the right stage to do that, but are nervous because of the inflexibility and the non-transparency of it. So, what is TV for Apps? So TV for Apps is accurate attribution and using data to be able to inform our media planning. So, absolutely no different to what you've been hearing all day from the mobile professionals, except when we talk about optimizing our media choices, we're talking about whether Sky Sports 1 is better than BT Sport, whether Comedy Central is better than Dave. What we do is we use the attribution solutions that you guys all know, and we interrogate the organic install information. We then feed that into a TV attribution solution that we have called Advance, and that, in its very, very clever and data-heavy way, is able to accurately and precisely attribute organic app install activity back to TV spots. It's able to share attribution. If two TV spots go out at the same time, the solution in the process is able to split the attribution if it needs to, or precisely kind of put the right attribution in the right place. Then obviously we're able to follow those users all the way in. So in the example of Clash of Kings, not only are we confidently able to say that Comedy Central drives more installs than MTV, for example, we're then able to see whether those Comedy Central installs go on to be to carry out an in-app activity or to carry out some kind of transaction within the app. What that does, of course, then for the client is they're able to track, report, and compare offline channels such as TV in the same way as they do their mobile acquisition channels. So in one report, on one dashboard, they can compare Twitter to Channel 4 and Facebook to Sky Sports 1. It's pretty good. And of course what that means as well is we're able to report this activity back in a language that our clients understand. So cost per install, cost per acquisition, cost per registration, that type of stuff. Okay, so back to Clash of Kings. We chose 2 creative partners for the campaign, one to help us with the TV ad and one for all offline activity. As I said earlier, we were quite agnostic and we were quite kind of neutral in the partners that we chose. So what that meant was that we invited 4 TV creative agencies to pitch, to come in with their ideas as to what this campaign should look like. For our TV apps process to work, 3 things need to happen. The creative needs to be strong, the buying needs to be correct, and the data that we get needs to be optimizable. The creative stuff was kind of, to a degree, out of our hands. It was really important that we found the right partner. The concept selected was based on the idea of ordinary people leading kind of extraordinary lives through the game. And once the app was signed off, we went to Budapest to shoot it. We've got some quite nice kind of, if you've seen the ad, you may recognise some of this stuff. Got some quite nice kind of behind the scenes. I've never been on one of these before. I was really excited taking pictures left and centre. Some kind of behind the scenes footage of how the ad is put together. And if you're familiar with the ad, you might recognise that last one. And if you're not familiar with the ad, then you're about to see it, so you're going to be. So this is a video of. No sound. Sound? Okay, if you don't like the song, you're in luck because I don't think you're going to hear it. So what this was the original ad with the visual effects laid over the top. So the reason this was obviously a big part of it was not only to get the game's graphics into the game, but also we were trying to localise it to make us look like London as possible. So keen-eyed amongst you will see certain things going on that try and make it a bit more English looking. That's kind of the full ad in its kind of end-to-end with the kind of visual effects laid over the top. So once we'd settled on the TV creative and we were happy with what we had, then the next idea or the next step was to, how else can we use these assets? How else can we use these characters, this feeling, this kind of recognition that we hope people are going to have for Clash of Kings once the TV ad was out. So what we decided on doing, so I've talked a little bit about how we can track and optimise an attribute TV. What we decided to do was to do some more kind of brand building stuff. Stuff that we could never track, at least nobody's figured out a way of doing it yet, but stuff that will have an effect on, so the next time somebody sees the TV ad, they say, oh, I recognise that from X, Y, and Z. So what we did, which was really exciting, is we booked what is known as a station domination, which is a phrase that is new to me, according to this, at Oxford Circus Tube Station. So we took the normal posters on the platform, digital ad units, complete corridor takeover, because we felt that the TV response would be supplemented and increased through this brand recognition. So the consistent creative feel was essential. So I don't know if any of you use Oxford Circus. If you have, you may have seen this. Again, using the characters from the game, trying to get this hashtag fight like a king going, trying to build up a little bit of familiarity of the game in the UK user base. We did, you can see the floors, Clash of Kings, the ceiling as well. These are people kind of going down to the Victoria line, I think it was. And then on the escalator. So if you can see on the escalator, up the side, there's the digital panels there, which kind of moved as you went up the escalator. And if this works properly, here we go. So if you can imagine going up the escalator, you kind of see this as you go along, as you kind of go in real time, with the arrow going all the way through and the Clash of Kings things coming up at the end as well. So we thought that was a really kind of cool and a really engaging way to use these TV assets to build the profile of the brand. The last thing that we did was to try and create a bit of a social buzz around this whole product. So that involved PR and involved experiential. So as well as the paid exposure we had, we also wanted to generate this little bit of buzz around the game and around the campaign, and to create this hashtag fight like a king. So what we did with the help of an experiential partner that we brought in is we staged a mock battle on Pottersfield Park, which is that little lawn in between Tower Bridge and the Mayor's office in London on May the 18th. And we got 125 people to dress as medieval knights and march across Tower Bridge at 5 p.m, causing absolute chaos as they went, as you may imagine. I think we got the right permission for that, although nobody's ever convinced me of that. Ending up on Pottersfield Bar to have this battle. And then afterwards, the idea was that we'd gather a bit of a crowd, they'd all kind of get a bit of a buzz about it, see what it was, get some press down there, etc., etc. And then we'd give them some hog roast and mead, which is medieval ale and is absolutely disgusting. So here's a few shots from the battle that went on Tower Bridge. Beautifully edited, so you can't see the torrential rain that was going on at the time, unfortunately, but that's for London in May. Again, trying to use the characters and the personalities from the TV ad to try and get that kind of recognition across the thing. Okay, so the campaign is still running. I think it's got 4 weeks left on TV. So in terms of results, I can only tell you how we're getting on so far. And we're pretty much doing everything that we set out to do. So the brand awareness of Clash of Kings increased by 300%. We held focus groups. We did online brand awareness pieces. Before we started, every single person that said, yes, I know Clash of Kings, was thinking of Clash of Clans. Now that we do these things again, people can separate them out. Oh, that's the one that the Come With Me Now song, which I either love or hate. We don't really care, to be honest, as long as we remember it. The app has settled 400 places up on its pre-campaign app chart position, and brilliantly, the majority of these new app installs were iOS, which was the main part of it. And the TV for apps process that I've just described is going to be the driving force behind the US campaign, which should be launching in a month or so, I think. And that's it. Description of the case study we ran. Thank you very much.